And if we get the movement to such a stage where the government sort of is almost afraid of us, and they say we're going to have to start taking notice of them now, which they should be anyway, because we're their employers, aren't we? Well, I missed the 1st of June, and I watched it all. I spent the whole day watching the footage live, and I think it really woke a lot of people up. So when Tommy announced that he was doing another one on the 27th of July, I thought, I've got to be there. Made a couple of phone calls. Tommy found out that I was coming, said, I need a veteran to speak, could you speak? So I said, I'll be honoured. What do you want me to chat about? Basically, betrayal of the veterans. And even,
I can imagine you've got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, because I'm going to say it in the speech there, but they break you down as a civilian when you first join up. They break you down as a civilian, so you're unrecognisable. And then they rebuild you with all the military doctrine and training to be this fighting machine. And then you go from that and you learn your trade, and depending on how long you do, the more indoctrinated into that system you become. And then eventually you expire. You're thrown out onto the street, normally at around about the age of 40 if you do a full 22-year career. Nobody's trained you how to be a civilian again. So you look for lifelines. Who do I chat to? How do I do this? Because you're proud, you tend not to ask. You try and muddle through it. Then it goes wrong. You end up perhaps in a court because you've punched somebody in a fit of temper. You come out with a criminal record. Suddenly employment's difficult. You end up homeless, mental health issues and everything else. You can't hold down a relationship more than 2 or 3 weeks. Or you after living in the same place for 2 or 3 years, you get that itchy feet and you want to move again because you feel as though it's a posting and that you need to move. And you treat sort of married life like an operational tour almost. It sounds awful, but you do.
But you're being honest, and you've got to be honest if you want to speak out and make a difference, haven't you?
Yeah. So I thought if I come here today and I just get a little bit of information across in about 6 minutes, that will perhaps wake up other veterans to say, yeah, I actually feel the same way. It will give the general population some sort of idea about how soldiers serving and sailors and airmen, because this applies to all 3 services, are not only treated whilst they serve, but how they're discarded and receive no assistance or little assistance when they go back into Civvy Street, So I thought if I can instill some of that into people, and maybe this movement will go from strength to strength, and as Tommy said, perhaps then it can start moving around the country as opposed to being centred within London. And if we get the movement to such a stage where the government sort of is almost afraid of us, and they say we're going to have to start taking notice of them now, which they should be anyway, because we're their employers, aren't we?